coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. It's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV. I'm your host, Sheena Metal. I'm a psychic medium. I'm an energetic healer. I'm an interfaith minister. I'm a 29-year talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond. I'm a creative and a performing artist and a paranormal survivor. And I come to you live from my home in Southern California every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This show is about spirituality. It's about creativity. It's about humanity. It's about passion. It's about service. It's about becoming and then maintaining being your best you in this big, beautiful world, and then inspiring others to do the same. And it may be my show. It is the Sheena Metal Experience after all, but it is always and forever, without a doubt, your experience. And that's the most important thing. My guest today is a very dear friend. He is a wonderfully talented spiritual being, spiritual practitioner, a lover of humanity, and all-around fantastic person. Please welcome back to the show the wonderful Alejandro Escoto. How are you? Oh, nice. Listen to that. Listen to that. That's a
wow. What a crowd!
I never get applause like that. That's just for you. Coming from a live studio audience. How are you, my friend? It's so wonderful to see your beautiful face.
Thank you. I'm doing well, considering the transitions that I've been going through. I've got an incredible sense of peace and calmness. Some years back, I would have probably been incredibly hysterical, panic-stricken. But there's a sense of calm that even though I can't control what's going on around me, as we've often heard, I can control how I react to that which is happening around me.
Yes. Yeah, my mama used to say, you can't change what's happened, but you can change how you live your life moving forward.
Yes.
And I think that's so true. And I think you can't go back and dwell on the past. You have to say, okay, make peace with it. You can't go back and fix everything. You can only move forward and fix things moving forward.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. What do you think was the catalyst for you to move into this place of transition? I mean, was it conscious, or was it just sort of like spirit just started moving you along?
I started to get the nudge about a year ago, and its root is in all the loss that I've experienced.
Sure.
And I've realized that in helping others maintain their sense of consciousness, their sense of state of being woke, their state of just being joyful, I was not. And so I needed then to just be aware that if I'm going to live for the next however many years that the eternal one has in store for me, then I need to start taking care of me.
Yeah.
And a year went by, and I spoke to Reverend Keith Mozingo, the senior pastor of Founders, and he said, why don't you take a sabbatical? Take a month off and think about it.
Yeah.
And I took a month off, and I came back and I gave him a letter, stating, it was, I thought it was a very positive letter about the accomplishments that we did. And I was saddened to say goodbye, but I knew in order for me to say goodbye, I would be able to transition to say hello to me again.
Yes, I think that's beautiful. And for people that don't know, obviously, Alejandro and I were pastored at the same church. You had been there for decades. Ooh. I have been there for 5 years, coming up on 5 years.
Wow.
But, sometimes a time comes. And I found during COVID, I let go of a radio station that I had worked for over a decade. And since COVID, there are other things I have let go of. Yes. I think if COVID has taught us anything, and I know you lost your brother to COVID very tragically, that it's that we have to keep moving and not be dwelling on things that no longer serve us. And
Indeed.
sometimes you
And
can be in love with something and then that
yes,
time ends and it's
yes,
time for you to do something else. And it doesn't mean you don't still love your time, and it doesn't mean you don't love the people that you met along the way and you keep them with you. But I mean, we're supposed to be, every message I get from Spirit, Alejandro, is always about fluidity and flow. We're supposed to
definitely.
stay in the flow. It's like, I grew up in a surf town, right? It's like you ride the wave and then you go get another wave and you ride that one. You're not supposed to be stagnant. And if you start to feel like you have spiritually stagnated, then
Yes,
it's time to get back in the flow.
definitely. I've been blessed to have learned Reiki, Qigong,
Yeah.
and if anything that we learn is that you have to keep the energy, the vibration flowing,
Yes.
um, and and that's when you get the sense of disease. You know, I'm not right with myself. My all my numbers in my lab work, and this is something very personal and intimate. All my numbers, my cholesterol, my AC1 for diabetes, my blood pressure, everything was high. Before I left the church, my glucose numbers were average 300 daily.
Mhm.
Now, when my brother died, and for about a year they were 500 daily,
Yeah.
and my doctor was like, how are you alive?
Yeah. Yeah.
And but once I left that first week, my glucose numbers dropped to about 100. My blood pressure, I'm off blood pressure medication. My cholesterol is balancing out. um, and the power of stress, which we can control, but I didn't recognize myself, Sheena. That's what COVID did to me.
Yeah.
It
No.
made
And
me
yeah.
unrecognizable to myself.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. And I know that, I don't know if you ever talked about this, but my father was a narcissist. And for whatever reason, my mother stayed with him for forever. And she had all the things that you have
Yes.
when someone else is draining you, right? She had the shingles
Yes.
and everything. When he died, she was
Yeah.
78, and
Wow.
suddenly all her blood pressure numbers got better. And I took her to
Wow.
the doctor, and her blood sugar had never been better. Her kidney levels had never been better. Her
I
thyroid had
love
never
that
been
man,
better.
but
And the doctor said, "What are you doing different?" And she laughed and said, "My husband died." And he said, "No, no, no, seriously, what are you doing different?" She's like, "No, I'm serious. My husband was an asshole and he died." But it was true, right? Because,
yeah.
and I was going to say this earlier, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it, but then you started. So brilliant. You and I are both type 2 diabetics,
Yes.
and we're both, I mean, you can blame me for being fat. We can't even blame that for you because you're beautiful and skinny, but
Left you.
we're
But I'm
both
skinny
people,
because of diabetes.
right? We're both people that our emotions affect our blood sugar.
Yes.
And I think with everybody, that's true to a certain extent. Like I remember a doctor telling my mom once, if you test somebody's blood sugar in an ER right after they've been shot by a gun, it'll be like 550. So it
Yeah.
is normal that it does rev it up. But I think for
Yes.
you and I, our emotions sort of viscerally run a lot of our system.
Mm-hmm.
So our numbers get bad when we're going through emotional trauma. And
Definitely.
COVID was, I think, more trauma than we
Yeah.
even understand. I'm watching this show on Apple Plus called The New Look, and it's about the rise of French couture after the war. And there's this scene where they're all in a concert hall singing Edith Piaf, and the war is over, and they're in Paris, and she has everybody stand up and raise their hands if they are mourning someone they'd lost in the war, and she does this a cappella song. And I thought, we don't think about the fact that COVID was a war. And
Definitely. Yeah.
against bacteria, it was not a war against a virus. It wasn't a war people on people. But
Yeah.
we're all sort of living in a post-Holocaust state now.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah. The
just with,
trauma continues to be so real for some people.
right. And not just with
Yes.
what people who lost people from COVID, but also what it did to our bodies. Those of us that
Mm-hmm.
had COVID,
Yeah.
I don't think my immune system will ever be the same.
Yeah.
So we have to sort of learn to live in our new normal. And I think when you go through a tragedy like that, as I did with the death of my mother, one of the first things you think when you get out of it is, okay, what in my life is no longer working? What do I have to shift?
Right.
And
Right.
we're meant to be constant. And I know it's so hard to leave things behind, but we need,
Oh, yes. And I'm one who values relationships to the point where I hold on until I realize I cannot.
yeah,
And and I come from a family of longevity, work wise. You
right.
know, my dad worked at his job for years until the factory closed down or they laid him off. My mom was the same way. She worked 25 years until they laid her off. And
Yeah,
then she got another job. She didn't speak much English, but she got a job working for those little yellow school buses,
nice.
working, you know, with kids, you know, who struggled,
Yeah,
and the kids loved her. They loved her, and so did the parents. And when the kids were with her, they were different people,
yeah.
you know. And so that's the kind of spirit that I have. Someone told me when I told them that I had resigned, they're like, "Wow, I thought you were going to be buried there," and
Oh,
I said, "Well, so did I."
yeah, yeah. Well, but you change, right? And as you change,
Yes.
you figure out what works and doesn't work. It's a
Yes.
very interesting thing in our lives. And I think you and I are both people who we sort of eat our stress, not literally. Well, at times literally, but also figuratively. And
Yes.
we just push it down and keep going, right? Because of that work ethic.
That's
And
that's that's how I function. Yeah.
got to keep going, got to keep going, got to keep
Hmm.
going until either there's a physiological crisis,
Yeah.
which we've both been through in that regard, or until we just mentally hit a wall of
Right.
I can't try to fix this anymore. And I tell my
Yeah.
clients this all the time, Alejandro, that sometimes the most beautiful thing about you is the thing that doesn't serve your life that well. I
Mm.
think for empaths, the most beautiful thing about us is that we never give up. We're always trying to help. We're
Right.
always trying to heal. We'll always give you 15 more chances. But in our life, those are
Oh,
the things
yes.
that are not serving us.
Definitely. You know, I am one who always seeks the good in somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I see someone broken, I see someone hurt, I see someone angry. I know there's something good in there.
Yeah.
And although it is not my job or calling or vocation to fix and help everyone that walks along my path,
Yes.
but I've chosen to, and because I was in such a bad state
Yeah.
emotionally and spiritually, I made really bad decisions.
Yeah.
Really bad decisions. And not let people into my life that shouldn't. And that's how I got hacked. You know, I got hacked last summer big time. And it's because someone wanted helps, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And even after I realized this person is bad news, they continued to, like, you know, seek me out until they were in the proximity to be close enough with their computer to do what they needed to do, you
Yeah.
know. And so those close to me, you know, one of my friends is like, "How could they do that to you, Alex? You're like the nicest person I know." I said, "No, okay, now you're pushing it, you know." But
No, I think it's a
we-
pretty fair assessment, my friend. I would have to say that's a pretty fair assessment.
you know. And so, but my friend said that because he's seen the work that I do unselfishly without expecting anything in return.
Right.
And And because I have detached myself from this desire of wanting something, I have exactly what I need, nothing more and nothing less. Um, but because spiritually, I was not following, or I wasn't in tune with what I needed to do for me, things were happening that otherwise shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And those things were big wake up calls.
Yeah.
And so I had to step away from what I love doing in order that I can heal me so I can continue healing others.
And it's a hard place to be, right? I feel like I spend half my life like, no, um, because we
Yes.
you don't want to lose the beautiful thing about you, which is staying open hearted. I don't want to be a person who lives my life not
Right.
being open hearted. If
Right.
I start becoming a jaded person, I'm going to shut down and die young. But at
Yes.
the same
Yes.
time, I can't live with the rose colored glasses on all the time,
Right.
because there are people out there that are not looking for your better good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to beware of them. So it's sort of like, it's, you can guard yourself against it to a point, but if you guard too much, then you're shutting yourself down.
Right.
You kind
Yeah.
of just have to guard yourself as best you can. And if a shark gets in the swimming pool, just find a way to get rid of it or get away from it before there's been too much toll taken on your life. And it's
Exactly.
hard
Yeah. It's
because,
very, very difficult. And and I think that's why I have so much peace. You know,
yeah,
even my roommate gets upset at me because he's like, how can you be so calm? And I told him because I know what it's like when I am not. And
yes.
that is not pretty.
Yeah. Somebody said
You
to me
know?
the other day, because I stuck up for myself, and somebody said, "You were so angry." And I was like, "Oh, honey, that's not angry. You have not seen this Irish girl angry. If I get angry, you better start backing away." But the truth is, at 56, Alex, I can't even get angry anymore, because now I just go into AFib.
I
So
know.
it's not even fun anymore.
My glucose values go up.
It's
Everything
not
goes
even
up. I'm
fun
like,
to be
I need to
angry
relax.
anymore, because I just feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. So it's not fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, yes, it's we have to find a way to stay beautiful and open. I have a friend who at some point just shut down, went, nope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still wonderfully open and beautiful with me, but just shut down and said, I'm not putting up with this anymore. I
Yeah.
won't deal with this. But what that means is no new energy is coming into their life,
Right.
and they're not using their empathic gifts to heal the world. They spend a lot of time sort of like, like the winter warlock at the beginning of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, right? Up at the top of the mountain in the castle. I can't live like that. If I'm
Right.
not constantly in service, I start to shut down.
Yeah. You know, when the first few weeks after I left, the first couple weeks, I I didn't know what to do. I couldn't. I was like paralyzed. I knew I had to do X amount of stuff, this and that, but it was challenging for me. And so I needed to give myself permission to just re-energize so I can refocus.
Right.
And it took longer than I expected. But the cleanup is not going to be pretty, but the end
Right.
result is gonna be very positive.
Did you know at the time that you made the decision to leave, did you have any idea that you would find something else, or did you think you were pretty much leaving ministry as you knew it?
Um, I was leaving ministry as I knew it in respect to congregational life.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so I have my eyes set on hospice work,
Mm,
but there's another part of me that wants to do nonprofit work.
mm.
And with all the skill set that I have, I have to just trust in my, well, I'm sure a lot of companies want to hire someone who promotes themselves as a spiritual director,
Yeah.
with Reiki, Tai Chi. Don't lie to me because I'll be able to hear it, and stuff like that. I don't lie to me. I can
Don't F
hear.
with
I
the
can hear
psychic.
the other thoughts going on, and they're
Right.
confusing me.
Well, you see, and that's what I wondered, because I had no idea that you were planning to retire until I saw it on our webpage for Founders MCC. And the
Yeah.
first thing I wondered is if you were going to open a spiritual practice. I'm like, he's gonna walk to the woo-woo side and open a spiritual practice. Because I know we've talked about your spiritual gifts a lot when you've been here on on my different
Hmm.
shows with me, and also how you kind of incorporate that into your ministry.
Hmm.
And I wondered if that was what you were going to do.
I'm promoting my hypnotherapy, my spiritual hypnotherapy business again. Um, because of the hacking, I lost my contacts, so
Mm.
I have to start from foot again. Just reaching out with the hope that somebody will remember me, which
Of
I
course,
know they will, but
I found you. I went and found. I stalked you. I went and sought you
Yes,
out.
yes. So and people are like contacting me. with a lot of hesitation because they're like, "Is that you? Is that you?" I think I put enough fear in people. They're like, "Is that really you?"
Right. Well, that's probably smart, right?
Yes, it definitely, considering what happened. I'm also in the thought process and note process of publishing an ebook on this experience
Mhm.
because what I realized, I consider myself pretty tech savvy, but when it came to my verification numbers, I realized the hacker who stole my iCloud account that I had for I don't know how many years, plus my email from the church, plus the email from the denomination, which is how they got in through Google backdoor. Um, it all my verifications came to me, my email and my cell phone. But when you lose access to that, how can you get verified?
Right. Yeah.
So now I'm telling people, have a number to someone you trust,
Mm.
because if your cell phone number gets taken, if your email gets taken, and you have no way to receive a verification code, they can then send a verification code to someone you trust, and they can vouch for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm also talking to companies. Um, Credit Karma was one of the first companies that I was talking to, and I got on their case because they asked me to send proof of ID. What would you like me to send you? I asked. They said, like your ID and your passport. And I said, my hacker has that stuff. He could send it to you and pass himself off as me.
Yeah.
This is nuts. And I was like, I went off. I said no. And then they're like, I want to do a video call with you. And that's exactly what we did. And that's what I am insisting now. That you want to verify me, a video call where I can hold up my ID and you can see my mugshot and me at the same time.
Right.
And
Yes.
things are changing in this
Yeah.
world. And your AirPlay, and no, your AirDrop, you shut that off until you need it, because that's how people get you.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's on your phone. If you have it for everyone, then anyone can walk by you and take information or transmit a virus to your phone.
Yes. Yeah.
Although iPhones, they say, are, but no, yes, So all of this stuff has come to me, um, um, and so now I'm seeking the Spirit's knowledge to help me put that into action.
Right. Right. Now, was this, if you don't mind me asking, was this somebody that you knew? Like, did you know this person in the freedom
Yes.
world?
See, it was someone that got introduced to me, and we had spoken for about 6 months. And within that 6 months, I had cut him off because he was bad news, and but he also made it very clear. He said, "I have a dark cloud that surrounds me,
Mm.
and I'm going to hurt you because that's what I'm called to do. I want to bring you down." And then he would change, and then that start crying and say, I'm sorry, I don't want to be like this. I want to change." A lot of it came from his trauma, from sexuality and lack of acceptance, and his family issues. But there's something much deeper, because he went on to talk about the dark work that he would do. And do you recall that bracelet you gave me? I still have it. I actually have it
Yeah.
in another
Yeah.
thing with the evil eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was a
So
Christmas
he
present. Yeah.
he looked at it and he goes, "Do you believe in that?" I said, "Of course I do. A very good friend of mine gave this to me." And he said, "You think it'll protect you even after harm has been done to you?" I
Yeah.
said, "Definitely."
Yeah.
And then I said, "Here, you want it? Take it. I will give it to you." And he took a step back. He goes, "I don't want that. Take it away
Right.
from, keep it away from me." And he started to shake.
Yeah.
You
Well, but I think
know?
that's the thing, is that we have to remember, I think from a psychological perspective, and I'm a big fan of psychology, Alex,
Mm,
we are taught to blame everything on a bad childhood or,
yes.
but the truth is, some people come out of the box
Hmm.
harboring darkness.
Yes.
Some people take darkness on at some point in their life and harbor it. Some people have spirit attachments that they, at a time of weakness, have either allowed or not allowed, but they have anyhow to attach to them. there are all different kinds of things going on with
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And you do need to be wary of it and protect yourself from
Yeah.
it. I
Yes.
had a thing happen right before COVID. I met a guy, and we became friends, and I thought he was one of my best friends. And all of a sudden I turned around and looked at my life, and I had been in so many fights with people. And I thought, that's not like me. I never get into fights with people. Why is everyone mad at me? And I
Hmm.
started tracing the friendships, and I realized all the problems trace back to him.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
realized I had Shakespeare's Iago, right? I had a snake in my midst. So I slowly started backing away. And
Right.
when he realized I was backing away, then he called me on it. And I
Mm.
kind of just tried to play it off, but stepped going. Well, once he realized I was no longer drinking the Kool-Aid, then it was on. And
Wow. Yeah.
I went through a couple of years of him probably destroying 100 friendships. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to give the entertainment world a rest. Now's the time to open my spiritual practice. And then he followed me into the psychic world and started destroying friendships with psychics. It
Wow.
was him, because
Yeah.
somebody would stop talking to me, and a week later he would be on their show. And I'm like, you didn't even know him.
That's crazy.
So I realized, and literally COVID was what saved me, because
Yes.
during COVID, when nobody was doing anything, everything just kind of shut down, and
Yeah.
that sort of fixed the problem in
Mm-hmm.
that respect. But but now I am extremely cautious of that kind of thing starting again. And when
Yes.
I start to see in somebody there is a pattern, I shut it down very quickly, because
Yes.
I don't know why it is that people want to facilitate people that are doing dark things. I think sometimes they fear them. I think sometimes they're just naive. I think sometimes the dark can be seductive. I think there are many different reasons.
I
But
agree. I
it's
agree.
very
Yeah.
hard to go up against a very clever, manipulative narcissist.
Yes, and it was challenging at first, and then I realized with everything I've encountered in this work that I've done, um, with the challenges of facing the dark and encountering the light, and stumbling through it all, and then rising and realizing, that the strength that I'm seeking has already and always been in me, in us. And when people find how strong you can be, they try to take that away from you.
Yeah.
And he wanted to take something away from me. And I think when he realized that he couldn't, because when all of this started, I fought back.
Yeah.
I fought back on my cell phone, and on my computer, and I didn't think he realized that I would fight back, because I am tenacious. I am persistent. I don't give up very easily, and I don't let go very easily, especially when it means that someone is trying to take something that doesn't belong to them, for whatever reason.
What do you think was the end goal? I mean, do you think he was just trying to spread darkness? Was there
Um,
something in particular, a way that he was benefiting from taking everything
well,
out of your?
he told me why. Now, I came to realize that there were a handful of people who I had met that were all related. Not related as in, they were friends, and they had been watching me for a while. And so, um, when I realized that, and one of them kept trying to maintain communication with me until I asked them, "Will you stop? I've been blocking you. You need to stop before I call the authorities." So I haven't heard from this guy in several months. But when this young man with his computer, when he told me, "I just hacked you," and I looked at him and I said, "Why would you do that?" And he tells me, "Because I know who you are." I said, "Okay, who am I?" And he said, "You're someone who's very well known. You're known all over the world. You're prestigious. You influence a lot of people, and you've got millions and millions of dollars. And I'm going to get that money from you."
Mm.
And I looked at him and I laughed. And I said, "I'm going to show you who I am." And I showed him a picture from Facebook. And he looked at me and he said, "You know what? You can fool these people with your double life, but you can't fool me." I said, "Double life? let's try triple, quadruple, you know, and so he was convinced. Well, I think he was pissed off more than convinced when he realized how many millions I don't have. And all of that was based, I think, um, the guys who were interacting with me and then getting back to whoever they were getting back to. I had money from a sale from a condo, which I was putting into the remodel of this house, and I think they saw that. Now, if they would have done what they did, if he would have hacked me 6 months prior, he could have probably taken a good chunk of money, and this house would have never been finished. Well, it's still not finished, but that's a whole
Right.
different story.
Right. But he actually did take money from you.
Nope, never took
Okay.
anything from me.
Okay.
Wasn't able to because I kept fighting back. There were days when I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning and then
Yeah.
having to work the next day continuously, 2 or 3 days in a row. And I would collapse
Wow.
after a few days, missing work, and it was just one thing after another. And so all of that um, led up to my decision. I was already deciding, but then the hacking was like one of the last straws. And then the issue with the remodel, that was like, oh, this is it, And so I told Keith, I need to take time.
Yeah.
I need to take care of me so I can take care of others. If that is still the vocation, or that is still what the eternal has in sight for me. And but I know that I love doing hypnotherapy. I love doing hospice. I'm not sure if I mentioned to you the last time I did hospice work. This was like 2019. I got in trouble because I was assigned 6 patients. They're all Spanish speaking.
Okay.
All of them had, they could not talk, walk, for the most part, not even feed themselves.
Mm.
And after a few months, all of them started to talk. All of them physically were getting better. Their health recuperated, their blood work, incredible. I got in trouble for that.
Oh,
Because they're on
you were
hospice.
pulling people out of hospice.
The families were already planning, to bury them. And now, they no
But
longer qualified for hospice, which meant a change of insurance, a change of life. I was like, well, it's not, that wasn't my intention. It was a greater spiritual
yeah.
intention.
But isn't that the best news ever, right? Isn't that what
I
everybody
loved it.
wants, for their loved ones to get better?
I loved it. Yeah, I mean, they were happy and they were surprised. They're like, how could this happen? And so then, of course, other people started to call me. And then, I got busy with church and stuff, and I lost all their contacts with the hacking. But the hacking is just a consequence of not paying attention and not being conscious and not allowing spirit to keep the light ignited enough so that I can see who and what is around me.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it a shame that human beings can be so disappointing that we have to always be watching and protecting ourselves from our fellow man? I mean, that's
Yes.
just so disappointing, right?
It's very disappointing because I want to trust people, and then, maybe after, like, you and your ex-friend, after a while you come to realize, wow, I poured my heart into this relationship to be the best friend that I could, and this is how they pay me back. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised you and I are not sour because, it's so easy to go
No,
that route.
sometimes I'm on Facebook and I see people come up on my timeline and I think, wow, we used to be really close. And then I
Mm.
remember it was because of him. And then
Yeah,
I see somebody else and I think, oh, we used to be really close. And then I remember it's because of that other person, because of him.
yeah.
Like it was like this rumor mill just went around, you know?
Hmm.
But I tell
Yeah,
you, I don't do that anymore. I stop
right.
it in its tracks when it's starting. And I
Yeah.
don't know what it is about light bearers like us, Alejandro, but there is something about being a light bearer that every person who harbors darkness wants to take their shot at us.
Yes.
And they'll pick us out of a crowd, even if we don't really have anything to do with them.
Oh my,
They
I
will
can't tell
come
you how
and
many
find
times
us.
people approach me. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like, what? Leave me alone. Go
Yeah.
pick on somebody else. Why me again? But
Right.
that's just
Right.
always, do you know what I mean? It's just the thing. And I'm
Yes.
I'm I'm finding myself perhaps in the midst of another situation like that now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not playing that game.
Yeah.
But you do want to hang on to your friendships, and you do want to hang on to
Definitely.
people that love you, and you do want to put a coating of protection
Yes.
around your friendships.
Yes, and one way that I do this is by protecting myself. I spoke with Bambi Salcido about this when I was on
Mm,
her podcast. Um, this imaginary bubble. Just imagine me, Alex, watching the Alex in the bubble machine. Bloop, 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 and
yeah,
and it works. After a while, I don't even have to consciously think about it
yeah,
because it's just part of me and it reflects all the negativity and takes in all the good stuff. Or like the teepee with a little opening at the top and let all the negativity flow out and the energy of goodness flow in.
yeah. Yes, a hundred
That's two
percent.
ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to believe in you. Believe in
Yes.
you that you are the bearer of the light
Yes.
and that nobody can touch you. And you
Yeah.
you just and you fortify your when something happens, like I said, I believe is happening right now. The first thing I do is I go find my camp and I
Hmm.
fortify and I say, okay, we may have a problem. Just so you
Yeah.
know, I love you. And if there's a problem, come to me.
Yeah. And
And I should have done that in 2019, 2018 and
yeah.
19. But the problem was by the time I realized what was happening, it was so far gone
Yeah. Yeah.
that it was too late to go back and
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah. Too late to fix that, but never too late to fix
Never too
what's in
late
the
to fix the
future.
future. Yeah, and because of
Yeah.
that, I've become very uh I realize how precious friendships are
Yeah. Yeah.
and that they are
Definitely.
really the most important thing and I don't
Yeah.
ever want to lose them.
Yeah, as open as I am, as charismatic and passionate, you would think that I'd have goo gobs of friends, and I have very, very few because of what you just explained.
Yeah.
Because that's um, people people try to take the most intimate energy out of you, and and I see how people are afraid of our light because our light
Bad.
exposes other
Yeah.
people's weaknesses.
Yeah. And because it uplifts people, and because no matter how
Definitely.
much we get kicked, we're like the people in Whoville on Christmas morning after all the stuff had been stolen. We're still singing the rejoicing song.
Yes.
And that makes narcissistic people so angry
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
don't understand how we can endure so much and still keep smiling.
A friend of mine got angry at me because after, from the hacking stuff, I had to change phones several times. And I remember I was singing this song and my friend started screaming at me. Why are you so happy? Look what happened to you.
Yeah, right.
Of course I got sad and started crying and that person felt better.
Foul weather friends are everywhere. Yeah, like with me, I let a lot of things go because I don't forget,
Yes.
but I move forward. And
Yes.
somebody said to me once, I don't understand what the story is with you. This person did this and it upset you, and now you talk to them again. And I'm like, well, first of all, there are many levels to the onion, right? You're
That's
certainly
right.
never going to be at the heart of my onion after
Hmm.
you've pulled some hanky stuff. But there's no reason why we can't still I can't still do things creatively with you, and I can't still be kind to you when I see you or go to your birthday party, whatever the story is.
Right.
I don't need to be holding every resentment because then that just Alex, that just fills me with poison, right?
Oh,
If
yes.
I'm
It's the
holding on to
worst
all
thing.
this stuff and who screwed me over on this day and who
Hmm.
screwed me over on that day, then it's just me that's full of poison.
Yes.
They don't care. They're
Oh,
still the same. And I'm carrying around all
exactly.
this sludge and not letting anything go.
As spiritual beings, that's the worst thing that we could do for
Yes.
ourselves. And for myself, it hits me hard. It
Yes.
really hits me hard. And it affects my emotions physically, my physical self. It affects what's around me. And and the very good things that tend to happen
Yeah.
tend to kind of like turn away, and then things that I don't want to happen, not necessarily bad things, but things that I don't want to happen begin to present themselves
Right.
because of what's
Right.
happened, what I allowed to happen.
Right. And unfortunately, there are those that you literally have to. I always say, like, my buddy John Zaffis, who collects haunted objects and puts salt around them in a barn. I'm like, every once in a while, you do meet the one you have to put the salt around and put in the barn. For the most part, if you can find it, because look, nobody's perfect.
Right.
Everybody, so many people do horrible things every day.
Oh,
People just
yes.
screw up left and right. And if you're going to freak out every time somebody screws up, then you're not going to have anybody in your life. But you do have to guard where you let them in the onion. And the nice thing about
Yes.
the onion and all its layers is that somebody can be in the onion for a while, and then for whatever reason they go out, and then sometimes they can come back in. Like, we don't have to, everything doesn't have to be definitive, because again, right, Alejandro, we live in flow and we live in a fluid world.
Yes.
So
Yes. And people
people,
don't always understand that. But once they get it, living life is so much more pleasurable.
yes, yes, people can screw up and then make amends. And
Yes.
people can screw up and then just go away. But
Yes.
people
And
can,
leave the mess for it.
right, you can not, like, I had a friend that I lost, a friend I loved very much, that I lost to the 2016 election. And I think we probably all have friends we lost during that time. And when years later, so what, 3 years later, when I realized this friend of me was part of that problem,
Mm.
I just like sent her a text and I said, look, I don't know who was who first in that or what it was. I don't even care anymore. Can we just let it all go and be done? And she was like, I don't remember either. And I just want to be
Oh,
friends. And so we put it back together. And,
yeah.
despite our differences politically, we're like sisters still.
Yes.
Um,
Don't talk politics and you'll be fine.
right. That's when I called it the hatchet bearing tour. And I started going to all these different people and just saying, look, I don't know what happened to us, but how can we fix it? I mean,
Right.
obviously not the biggies, not the people who really scar your life. Like, you're not going to knock on your hacker's door with a daisy and say, like, can we still be friends?
God forbid. And
But
and he's been quiet now, so who knows what happened to him.
but
Yeah.
most people are just the fallout. Hopefully he's in my friend's barn with salt around it, the other demonic toys.
Next to Annabelle or whatever her name
Exactly
is.
right, between Annabelle and the Divic box from the possession. And that's exactly where he should be. Yes, and my ex-friend as well. We'll put him there too.
Yes,
Um,
I can. I'm imagining.
but I mean, you know what I mean? It's just not worth it to hold on to all these
Right.
resentments. And it's just not good for you. You
Right.
have to move past them.
Yeah, and even though people have told me, um, Alex, you're such a wise person. How could blah blah blah?
Oh,
And I told them, as unfortunate as these experiences are, they become valuable experiences for some time in the future,
yeah.
because what I went through, and I hope never to go through again,
Yes.
will
Amen.
help somebody in the future,
Yes. Yes.
especially me.
And that's why you have to be vocal about things. You have to
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
this is happening. And I
Yeah.
think, like I said, this is something that I'm having to address now this week in my life, where I have to go, speak to some people that I love about something that happened. And I never want anyone to feel put on the spot, or like I'm telling them, oh, you can't associate with this one, because I don't do that. I'm not that person who does that. But I think there's times when a situation needs to be brought to light so people know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I didn't do that in this last situation, and it got really terrible. And there's
Yeah.
some people that are just venomous. If they're angry at you about something,
Yeah.
they will go to everybody, and it's
Right.
this whole us and them, and who's on my side and who's on. I don't even think like that.
Right. I don't
There
either.
are
Yeah.
there are people that do, and
Yeah.
you just have to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. I want to share two quick stories with you
Please.
about how during these situations I
Sure.
found incredible comfort from the other side.
Mm.
So I was trying to find my diploma from Claremont School of Theology, and I was looking everywhere. and nothing. So I found these packs of um, of wrapped frames. So here I am unpacking, and I found a frame that I had been thinking about and couldn't find. So I found that one. It wasn't the diploma, but I found that one. So then I opened up another one, and it was an image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, a
Oh,
mosaic, and it was given to me by Norm Cox, who
oh,
passed away.
right. Our fellow
He gave it to me
parishioner. Yeah.
before he passed away, and then I had packed it. Um, and when I opened it, I said, "Oh my gosh!" I said, "Norm." So I put him in the part of the house that is not done, and I said, "Norm, with your creativity, I invite you in so we can finish this house. I don't care how much glitter is in it, you know." And then the others, I received a package at the church, and when I opened it, it was a rosary, a
Mm.
very old rosary. And I read the little letter, and it was from Tim. Um, I think that's his name, Tim, Steve Peters' associate. And
Oh,
so when Keith was helping Tim sort out this and that from his estate, Keith happened to mention to Tim, Reverend Alex loves collecting rosaries. And I was in a moment where I was like just really somber and overthinking, because some of us can be really good at that. And I received this rosary from Steve Peters well
mm.
after you passed away.
Wow. Isn't that our dear friend Steve Peters, right? We loved him
Yes.
so much.
Oh my gosh. He was, I remember years ago, I used to go to his house, take him shopping sometimes, or just go and do his shopping for him, chat with him for a bit. I got to know him so well back then.
Yeah.
And then, and then someone else, I got someone else assigned to work with him, and that relationship came to an end. But the relationship always was so strong, and he was always so appreciative of me, always. So bless him.
He brought me into Founders MCC. He was the whole reason that I
I
do this thing
know.
because of him.
It's incredible. It's incredible how how people connect us. If it
Yes.
wasn't for that, you and I would have never met.
I know, right? So
It's
we
a
have Steve
beautiful
Peters to thank
relationship.
for
I love
that.
it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you I mean I just love you because you have such a beautiful heart, but I
Yes,
also
thank
love
you.
that you have you grew up very Catholic, right? And a very strong Catholic upbringing, more churchy
Yes.
than I grew up. I think of everybody at Founders, I grew up the least churchy. But you have always found a beautiful way to mix your like your old religion and your new religion, right? Because we
Yes.
all come from that pre-Judeo-Christian
Definitely.
pagan
Yeah.
religion that all of our peoples had too. And you do a really good job of blending your
Thank you.
psychic gifts, your metaphysical beliefs, and your Christian beliefs. And it's because of people like you that I took back the word Christian and started identifying as a Christian after decades of not,
Oh, thank
because
you.
I realized there was a way to be able to still love the teachings of Christ, not always have to be so up on the followers, on all
Right.
the followers, but still love the teaching and still be proud to call yourself a Christian, and
Yes.
also be proud to call yourself a metaphysical person or a spiritual person. That's how my mother always was.
Yeah. A
She would
shaman.
always say, I'm part metaphysician and I'm part teachings of Christ Christian,
I
which
love
for
that.
her meant up on Jesus, not so much on some of the followers. But
I love it. I
I've
mean,
kind of reclaimed that in my house down
I
here.
love it.
I'm living in my childhood home with my mother's energy everywhere,
Like me. Yes.
like you, remodeling like you. And I can tell you, there are crosses all over this house. I never thought I'd
Oh,
have so many crosses in my
listen.
home, but
Can you see?
I
Look at that.
what?
Can you see that behind me?
Yes, that's beautiful. I'll have to
Look.
take pictures of my crosses for you.
Yes, please do. And I
Um,
got a lot of virgins everywhere. I mean,
oh,
not me. I mean,
no,
virgins of
not me.
Guadalupe.
Not me. I don't have a Guadalupe. I need to get a virgin. I don't have a virgin here.
I will. I will get you one. I will give
Oh,
you one.
I love that. Okay, I would so love that. Yeah. I just got a beautiful I have over here, my curio over here is my Ascended Master curio. and it has
Oh,
like everything I love. And I just got an Abraham Lincoln because I love him with my whole heart. And I
yes.
put him between St. Patrick and the wise men.
I
So
love it. Well, he was a wise one.
good company, right? Good company for him.
Definitely.
You
I
are
mean,
so beautiful, my friend. Let's do this again. Where can people find you online?
they can find me. I still have the Facebook, so it's still Rev Alejandro Escoto on Facebook and on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm fighting to get my X or Twitter back, so I'm still trying to,
Okay.
get validated for that. And I have my TikTok. So
Yep. Go
yeah.
find this
So now
beautiful
TikTok,
human
my
being.
profile picture is my twin sister dancing. So
Oh,
they just have to look at my name.
that's beautiful. You have such a beautiful soul, and I'm so honored to call you my friend. And I think you're such
Likewise.
an exemplary human being. Let's do this again soon.
I love you. Thank you.
My
Mwah.
dear friend Alejandro Escoto, everybody. If you missed those links, yay! If you missed those links, SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. That's how you find out more about me. Come on over and get to know me better. And even yet, send me a text message and let's be friends. 818-437-0886. You can learn about my psychic life, about my entertainment life, everything. SheenaMetalSpiritual.com. And my social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X is just at Sheena Metal, @ and then Sheena Metal. All one word, all lowercase, no extra at the end, just my name. Until I see you next time, seek peace, live in love, lead with kindness, embrace unity, always work to raise your vibration and the vibrations of those around you and the vibration of the everything, and know that you are love and you are loved and you're so loved by me. Thanks to Parapod TV and its owner and operator, my dear friend Tony Sweet, for allowing us to be part of your network and on Roku. Thank you to my engineer and producer, Emery. You are the wind beneath my wings, buddy, and I love you so much. Until I see you next Wednesday at 3:00 Pacific time, stay beautiful. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Mm-hmm.